so far, a treasure untold.
Hello folks, what is the story that South Africa is not talking about today? As May 2026 comes to a close, events that took place 6 years ago still haunting the sitting president, Cyril Ramaphosa. Phala Phala. In a story that's not being covered by virtually any of the mainstream press in South Africa, with the exception of the Independent Line, which actually ran this story, ANC veteran Tokyo Sexwale has accused President Cyril Ramaphosa of being dishonest about the Phala Phala farm scandal. The prominent businessman shared his views during an interview on the Sexwale and Walsh podcast. Now, Ramaphosa explained to the government and to the citizens of South Africa that the cash that was left at his Phala Phala farm was to secure future purchases, and it was stolen before it could be banked. But the problem with that lie is that the money arrived on Christmas Day, supposedly by Mr. Mustafa, the so-called erstwhile Sudanese businessman who came to buy a prize in Coley bull. I smell bull, all right. The money arrived on Christmas Day, and it was stuffed into sofas and robbed in February, 2 months later. Tokyo Sexwale said Ramaphosa's explanation is a cock and bull story, adding that he should appear before the impeachment committee and answer questions related to Phala Phala. Well, I agree, and for 3 years since the story broke in the public venue, I've been arguing the same thing. In fact, we have not let that story go. I have been on Phala Phala from day one and reminding people every single week that this cannot be allowed to slide. In the interview on the Walsh podcast, Tokyo Sexwale said that this man, Cyril Ramaphosa, lied to us, adding that it's quite clear that he will have to come before the impeachment committee and answer questions. Now, ladies and gentlemen, this represents a major breach in the wall of unity, Ubuntu, that is the African National Congress. The tripartite alliance is already dead. They aren't communist enough for the South African Communist Party. And years ago, when Zuma was in office, they pissed off COSATU, so those relations are already damaged. Now the tripartite alliance has fallen apart, and ostensibly they still have support from COSATU, but that remains questionable. And now inside the party is collapsing from within. Why? Because too many thieves run the party. And Tokyo Sexwale, whatever his shortcomings or his advantages in life, I don't think he's a thief. Sexwale also said that the idea that a foreign businessman showed up to buy cattle, found a deputy manager, and left a large sum of undeclared cash is unbelievable. I agree. $580,000, and we know for sure that's what Cyril admitted to. But of course, Arthur Frazier claimed it was $4 to $8 million US dollars. But whatever the case, $580,000 in US currency with bank bans on it, illegally delivered to the country, not declared to customs and immigration, not declared to SARS. There's got to be tax evasion, money laundering, and currency violations at a minimum, not to mention immigration violations. Sexwale said the entire explanation surrounding the hidden cash is a cock and bull story. It's a childish story. Well, I agree. This is an entirely childish, and it takes South Africans for fools. Does Cyril Ramaphosa think that anyone's dumb enough to believe his idiotic story? Well, Parliament bought it, because ANC members of Parliament, by and large, are that stupid. Or they're just that loyal to their fellow thieves. He says this story must be tested. How did he come to this country with his dollars? Adding that Ramaphosa should provide answers to South Africans. He should have provided answers to South Africans years ago. What about the perversion of the ends of justice? The means of justice. Misusing the VIP protection unit to collude with Namibian security forces to kidnap and then torture and then bribe the accused thieves. What about that story? Tokyo Sexwale says the airport and SARS records say that Mr. Mustafa never arrived. Ramaphosa has to answer to South Africans. No record of this guy being there. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the one story we know about. The one story we know about. How many other times is money flooded into South Africa? Bribes, currency violations, misuse of resources, money stuffed in. How much more money is stuffed in couches around South Africa? What other properties does Cyril Ramaphosa have? How about a lifestyle audit of Cyril Ramaphosa? Wouldn't that be interesting? Sexwale added that the scandal was dragging down and damaging the credibility of South African state institutions. Yes, no doubt, because they've covered this up, including the South African Police Service, the South African Revenue Service, or SARS, and the South African Reserve Bank, all of which refused to do their legal responsibility and pursue this case. He adds that they will have to appear and explain how a man with so much money came into the country, $580,000 at least. He has put the name of our president in serious jeopardy. No, he hasn't. No, he hasn't. Tokyo Sexwale, is that your way to let Cyril Ramaphosa off the hook for these crimes? No, he hasn't put the president's name in jeopardy. The president has done that by being dishonest. Tokyo Sexwale says the country cannot be torturing like this. We just remain quiet, hoping that things will happen somewhere. No, hoping that they go away as the continued kleptocracy of the ANC runs unabated and buries South Africa as it heads to state collapse. But make no mistake, even though the media is not covering this, South Africans will be talking about it. Sexwale and Phala Phal's podcast does reach a large number of black South Africans who are going to be asking this question. And this is a huge mistake. If Tokyo Sexwale appeared on my broadcast, he would be preaching to the converted for the most part. And not too many black South Africans who are leftists would watch my program. But a lot of them watch Phala Phal's podcast. And people will be talking about this. This is a major, major breach. The wall is collapsing. The Thule House can't cover this up forever. And Tokyo Sexwale going off the reservation and calling Cyril Ramaphosa what he is, a liar, is major news. The fact that this hasn't hit the press in the West or throughout South Africa indicates a clear media cover-up. What say you, South Africa, Mzadzi? And my thanks to Sexwale and Phala for getting the guest on. And if you don't mind sharing his contact details with me, I would love to interview Tokyo Sexwale as well about this issue. Cheers, folks.
She was got a